Hello everyone on Patreon. Thank you so much for voting this month on a bonus movie review video. The winner this month is Floating Weeds, which was released in 1959. This was directed by Yasujiro Ozu. He wrote the screenplay with Kogo Noda. And for those of you who have not seen this film before, or if it's been a little while since you've seen it, the plot, according to IMDb, is a troupe of traveling players arrive at a small seaport in the south of Japan. Komajuro Arashi, the aging master of the troupe, goes to visit his old flame Oyoshi and their son Kayoshi, even though Kayoshi believes Komajuro is his uncle. The leading actress Sumiko is jealous, and so in order to humiliate the master, persuades the younger actress Keo to seduce Kayoshi. I hope I have some of these names somewhat right in my pronunciation. I'm so glad this won. It has been on my watch list on the Criterion channel for a long time. I love Ozu. I'm still going through his filmography, but I've seen a number of his films. And I thought that was a pretty good plot summary that I read there. And this is slow cinema, so it's, to a large degree, it's not, Chantal Akerman slow, but it's dealt with very, very slow. And like Paul Schrader said about Ozu, he'll have he'll build the story up so slowly, and it feels like it's not even that much emotion happening. There's always a degree of emotion, but there doesn't seem to be any conflict or problems. It's just getting to know these people, the traveling troupe, the actors getting there, the people in the city, the relationships, and then all of a sudden, this gradual build as you've spent time with these people, boom, something interrupts what you've been comfortable with, emotionally speaking, and then all of a sudden, there's a lot of emotion and there's drama and conflict, and it's beautifully done. And really, to me, the film is about consciousness in a lot of ways, and the complexities of human relationships, because the theater master, the guy who runs this troupe, Komojuro Arashi, he's the leader of this troupe, and they all need him to a strong degree. It's strongly suggested how much they need him, how much of that he's a master of the troupe. He's like a mentor, and you get the impression that he's discovered them all, and perhaps they had been in some kind of vulnerable, position, or were from some kind of a hardscrabble existence before they worked with him. So they really rely on him. And even though he turns on two of the women, so that's the woman that was his girlfriend, who then becomes jealous because he's seeing his ex-girlfriend there. This is before she knows that he's there. He's spending time with his ex-girlfriend because he wants to see his son. And he really turns on her, and it gets nasty because, she goes over to their place. She causes trouble for him. And they have this one argument that is so brutal and nasty, and he says really mean things to her, and he even gets violent later with her. And it's so shocking, but yet not shocking, because at the end of the film, she still wants to be with him. Now that could be, it's not static. He's inviting the audience to make your own conclusions about that. It can be that she's just deeply in love with him, or she relies on him. She needs him. She has nowhere else to turn. So and maybe she's grateful to him for all he's done for her career-wise, her living situation-wise. And again, that's incredibly complex. And, it's interesting because she sends this other woman to flirt with the son as a way to mess up whatever might be going on there. And I guess she figured that the master wouldn't like that, if it's a peculiar thing to ask. She asks this other woman, like, oh yeah, go lead him on. I suppose it was a way to lead him on because she was so beautiful, this woman. lead him on, and then he'll probably start to have feelings for you, and then you can drop him. So I thought it was a mean way to kind of get at this young kid. She's trying to take her hurt and inflict it on this poor kid that has nothing to do with their troubles. He doesn't even know that this guy's his father. He thinks it's his uncle. They don't explain why the master wants it that way. I suppose it's because he didn't marry the mother, and so he didn't. It would have been more socially acceptable to have told this young man that his father had died, as opposed to saying that, oh yeah, your parents are not together or not married, and that's the way he wants it. And so this all blows up in his face, particularly once his son Kayoshi finds out that he's his father. And now he falls so in love with this other actor, and she falls for him, which was not what anyone expected, right? So it's the master, he sort of is he's set in a lot of in a lot of his ways. He's also the leader. He's the guy in charge. He doesn't like. My impression was he doesn't like things unexpected, and I think that's why he gets so ferocious when he gets angry. And like I said, you see him abusive towards both women. And the young woman who who just took some money to lead this kid on, she falls for him, this young man, not that he's a kid, like I guess they're roughly the same age, but she falls for him. And again, I thought that was so interesting because, life happens when you're busy making other plans, right? This was not anyone's plan. And life gets messy, right? And things get complicated, and people have secrets, and people have different views and ideas of who they are. Like the master, I think he just liked to be seen as the master and nothing more. And I think the fact that he, would have a son from outside of marriage was something that for him, he perhaps felt that he would get criticized. And I think he liked to be for people to be in awe of him. And it's the plays don't do well. I mean, it was interesting because I don't even necessarily know how successful his theater troupe was, because he says, his son says to his son, "Oh, we'll probably be here a year," and then his son says, "Oh, it won't be that long." And then afterwards, his son was like criticizing the play. This is when he still thinks he's his uncle, and so how successful they were, I don't know. I mean, why the son would have but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I mean, he obviously made enough to be able to keep touring and doing these plays, and I think he just believed that this troupe was great, and he was the leader, and he liked to be in that position. And so at the end, it's this moment of consciousness when, he starts to order the son around, and he doesn't want his son to be with this woman who he's now in love with. And he tries to, and the young man says, his character, Kayoshi, says to him, "Who the hell are you? You can't just come into my life now, say you're my father, and tell me what to do." And that's when he sees this guy who thought he was right the whole movie, stubborn, thinking he was right, Komojuro, the head of the troupe, and he suddenly says, "You know what, he's right?" And this is when everything comes apart. And I think that was a great lesson for him, because he was so used to being in control, and he was so used to being the leader and people being in awe of him. And now there's another color that he refused to show, which was this, whatever happened with this ex-girlfriend of his, and how they broke up, I don't know, or whatever happened, but it was something that didn't go well. And because he has this pride, he couldn't face up to it, and now he has to face up to it. And the theater troupe falls apart. He loses everything, but really, in a way, it was a great lesson to stop being so stubborn, stop being stuck in your ways, and stop trying to control everything around you. And and I think he has the strength in the character to see that he can't do this. He cannot tell this young man what to do. He has to face up to the consequences of not being around. He has to let things go if people want to be with one another, this young woman and the son. then that's the way it is. But you see him at the train station alone, and like I said, the woman who is his girlfriend still wants to go with him. And like I said, it's not as simple as, oh, because I love him, or but it's so layered because, like I said, it's like there's a relationship. He's also the leader of this theater group. He also discovered this woman. So I really truly believe that she really was in awe of him, and really envied him and was like attached to him, a part of him. And so it's not as simple as even though he blew up on her, and I mean, you know, it's even though he hit her, for her anyways, it wasn't as simple as, well, if I'm being treated this way, I'm just gonna leave. It's a lot more complicated than that. And again, this is Ozu. He's not telling stories with just a degree of simplicity. There is a simplicity to it. I mean, there's something very accessible here, and people could take whatever they want from it. But for me, it's so dense, and it's so rich with these complex relationships between everyone, and these moments of consciousness that goes with the main character, who finally was able to kind of break through and change. That's like his arc was, God, you know, I can't be doing this. You know, I can't be trying to control everything around me. I have to let things go, which was a great life lesson. So the story has a lot of value because you can look at your own life and you know, and say, what do I try to control so much? What is it about myself I don't want people to know? Why am I hiding things about myself that I don't want people to know? And I think there's a great value in, because this story is someone who basically lets go of his ideas and egos and pride of himself. And sure, he's left alone, but he's led, and but not really, because the woman wants to go with him, but he's lost the theater troupe and he has to start again. But I think now he's going to start again in a much more positive and better way. And so to me, this is a wonderful film, and I'm so glad it won. I'm so glad I finally got to it. So thank you so much, everyone, for voting. If you've seen this film, comment below and let me know what you think. Thank you so much again, everyone, and I will see you in the next video.